I don't know the word for it,
Hmm.
but she is like a type of clumsy that is very specifically reserved for hypersexuality.
Yeah.
It's like her clumsiness is just sexual.
She's like living my dreams.
If my clumsiness was sexy, do you know how far I would be in life instead of just
Listen, I have so many unexplained bruises on my thighs and knees from where they hit drawers, couches. I hit fucking everything, and I can't wear heels anymore because I've sprained the same ankle twice
Oh my
horribly.
gosh, no.
So, like, I get hurt a lot, mostly from like walking and existing.
Yeah, imagine if your clumsiness was literally just all like just sexual.
I am jealous. My clumsiness just makes my life insurance deductibles go way up.
Hey guys, welcome to Fixation, a podcast where we spill all the tea on fictional characters.
We're your hosts. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Rose. Grab a mug and settle in. Our story this week is called,
The Kissing Booth, a movie on Netflix based on a novel by Beth Reekles.
all right, girl. Our movie starts off with a freaking montage. Kind of with a montage.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good montage, except someone dies in this one, which isn't like that nice, but
That is a huge downer.
it was kind of a downer, but they just kind of mixed it. They sprinkled in the death like really quickly. So our main characters are Elle Evans and Lee Flynn. They were born on the same day at the same time. Their moms are best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So they're naturally best friends.
I have to say that I'm super jealous of having like a lifelong boy bestie like that.
I know, me too.
Like I had a boy bestie for like 2 years.
How old were you?
It was middle school.
Ah, I bet he liked you. I
No.
bet. No.
Well, he dated your sister, so let's
Oh, who was it? Who
it
was
was
it?
James.
Give me that tea.
No, the tea is that I had a huge crush on James. Well, here's the thing: everybody had a huge crush on James. So, like the fact that your sister also had a huge crush on him was
It's
not like
surprising.
it
Yeah.
wasn't surprising. No, because everybody did, because like I was best friends with your sister, and James was like our third best friend in our best friend group. We hung out literally almost every day. But yeah, he dated your sister after I moved.
Yeah.
So like I'm not really. It's not really like fair to be angry about it.
But you kind of were a little bit.
But I was. Um,
I do remember. So I have like, I was like a side character in you guys's like little love triangle. Very minor character in that story, but I just vaguely remember you guys all being best friends.
we were like best friends. We hung out all the time.
Yeah.
Like, cause he lived, you lived at the front of the neighborhood. I lived in the middle of the neighborhood and James lived in the way back of the neighborhood. And so like we all rode like the same bus and stuff. And it was easy for us to hang out.
I mean, that's when you're young, your best friends become the people that you're closest to, like proximity wise. Like you
Hmm.
just naturally become best friends. Like so much of your life is just dictated by geography, like literally who is right next to you.
The Venn diagram of what we had in common was just three circles that bumped against each other, and
But
overlapped with
never,
where we lived. It was
that's amazing.
like rode the same bus, went to the same school was the only thing that overlapped there. Like
That
we had no mutual interest
That's
whatsoever.
what happens. That's what's crazy when you're young, you don't realize it, and you think like, "Oh, this is my best friend forever," and it's like the only thing you guys have in common is you go to the same school or you live by each
Hmm.
other. But that's kinda so that's kinda what's going on with Elle and Lee Flynn,
Hmm.
because you can imagine their moms being best friends mean that these 2 kids are together from the time they're babies.
Yeah, they hit all their milestones together.
Right, and so I think Elle and Lee, they were raised as siblings, so
Hmm.
that's why it's believable to me that they don't have any feelings for each other.
So Elle is hardcore simping for Lee's older brother, Noah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so what's the definition of simping?
Let me pull it up for you. Simp is an internet slang term describing someone who performs excessive sympathy and attention towards another person, typically someone who doesn't reciprocate the same feelings. This is usually done in pursuit of a sexual relationship.
Yeah. That fits.
So Elle is really sipping over Lee's older brother Noah,
Yep.
and let's be honest, he's hot. He's fine as fuck.
I'm kinda with you. I've got, like, one foot there and the other foot on not really, and I'll explain why in a minute. But so Elle and Lee are best friends. Noah is Lee's brother, and Noah has some issues, okay? And we see it in the opening montage that Noah keeps getting into fights because 'cause he's got a little bit of an anger issue.
Listen, if I knew what red flags were when I was 16, then that would have been my type.
You
I wish I
and your
wasn't.
toxic men.
I know. Like, listen, if you just want to like dress in a red flag so I can see you from across the room, please do to save me the time from talking to these other stable men. Just let me make a beeline towards you, please. Like, and toxic. And then just like that Britney Spears song and it's playing in the back of my head with the taste of your skin, I'm on a ride. Like,
You're like, "Excuse me,
listen,
sir, are you toxic?" Because that's exactly what I'm looking for. Elle is simping over Noah, but there is a very,
yes.
very, very, very important thing that we forgot to mention, which is Elle and Lee's friendship is
Hmm.
really it has a very specific set of rules that they made up when they were like 6 years old.
There is an expected code of conduct here.
It's a code of conduct. I kinda low key love it. I feel like all relationships should have a contract to start of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and I love that they started off at 6 years old. They just made a practical list of do's and don'ts.
Yes.
Friendship rule number 9 says relatives are off limits when it comes to
Which
dating.
was specifically made because we realized that he had a hot as fuck older brother and was like,
Yeah.
nope.
He was like, "Alright, I see my brother, getting with all these girls, so my best
Yes.
friend has to be off limit." Yeah, put a pin in that because I will come back to that point before the end of this.
Anyways, so first day of school, Lee comes to pick Elle up, and Elle's pants rip right up the ass crack. Her pants just rip.
First day of school. This
First
is
day of
this is how we're
school.
starting.
So she's like, Dad, where are my backup pants? And he's like, Oh, they're the dry cleaner. So poor Elle is searching through her room and she ends up wearing a skirt from like 3 years ago.
I couldn't wrap my head around the decision she made about, like, this is the only possible thing. I mean, I can't possibly break the dress code by wearing jeans, so instead, I'm gonna wear a skirt that doesn't fit
Her
me.
booty cheeks are showing.
Literally, her butt is hanging out. I don't understand.
I mean, maybe she didn't know that her butt cheek was falling out, but I
Like, you would feel the freaking breeze on your butt cheeks. I'm just saying. She also goes downstairs, and her dad sees her, and her brother sees her, and her dad goes, "You know what? I'll just drop off the dry clean pants at school, like, you're fine." Her dad lets her go to school like that.
kudos to Dad though.
Yeah, he's like, "I trust your judgment, and if you think having your ass cheeks hanging out at school is the right call, then I support your decision."
Listen, with my ex-military cop dad, I would not have made it through that kitchen before he was like absolutely fucking nuts.
We're old. Maybe it's the old thing. Maybe the younger generation is like ass cheeks are the new shoulders. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe ass cheeks are the new shoulders.
It's possible. So she walks on onto campus of her high
Mhm.
school and everyone's head is turning like, "Oh my god, who is this girl?"
Some douche named Tuppen.
I can't believe you remember.
Let's say that again. Tuppen. 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 Walks up and just smacks her ass. First of all, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
Lee squares up to fight Tuppen, and Tuppen was like, I don't fucking think so. Like, really? Like, let's be
Oh my
honest.
god, because Toppin is huge. Like, that is the one of the biggest freaking high schoolers I've ever seen in my life.
Tuppen is huge, and he just kind of shuts Lee down really quick. But then when Tuppen goes to take a swing at Lee, Noah jumps in.
Yeah, Noah jumps in out of nowhere and he just starts fighting. Noah likes to fight. He's constantly fighting. He's got anger issues. So he jumps in and starts fighting.
Hmm.
Courtney's over here swooning because
I
she thinks it's
am.
amazing that he's a toxic.
Hashtag daddy issues. Anyways,
They all get in trouble
well,
because of this
not
fight.
not Lee. So Elle,
Oh,
Tuppen, and Noah all get in trouble. Lee does not get in trouble.
okay.
When they all go up to the principal's office, the principal handles Tuppen first. So Elle and Noah are sitting in like a lobby area talking.
Yeah,
She's like, "Why did you get in the fight for me?" And at first, Noah was like, "Well, Lee was in trouble. Like, of course I had to get involved."
right.
And then he says, "Well, you're like my little sister. Somebody trying to get into your pants is like gross."
Well, he says no one should treat a girl like that, especially if that girl is you. And I'm like, "Aw."
Aw.
And then he goes, "You're like a little sister, and that's really gross." And I'm like, "Ugh."
Ugh.
Do you remember when Noah said, "Oh, when you were wearing that skirt, you were kind of asking for it?" Did you catch that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he said, "You're wearing a skirt like that is asking for it." And she gets super pissed, and then he kinda teases her that it was a sexist joke, and I'm like, "Oh, that's hilarious. We love sexist jokes. Make more." Like, stop.
No, Noah, just because you're hot and tall does not mean you can do whatever you want. Okay, there
No,
are
honey.
lines.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And also, props to the principal for also not slut shaming because he was just like, "Oh, that skirt is ridiculous." But he was kind of very calm about it. He did not mention the words ass cheek once, even though they were very relevant.
Yeah, he was just like, "That skirt is ridiculously short." And she's like, "I'm sorry, my pants ripped." And he's like, "What about your backup pants?"
Everyone has backup pants.
Everyone has backup pants. She's like freaking out because she's never been in trouble before.
Hmm.
And so he's like, "Elle, calm down. Like, you're just getting detention tomorrow." And she's like, "Oh,
She gets her backup pants, right? Because her
mm-hmm.
dad brings them.
Yes." This part actually infuriates me that Tumpin, who essentially sexually harassed Elle, only gets detention. And so, like, I want to be like, he better have gotten detention for the rest of his fucking life.
Right.
They're all in detention together, and fucking Tuppin just gives her this note that's basically just like, "I'm sorry."
And she's just like giggly, like, "Oh my God, he's sorry." He passes her another note that says, "What do I have to do to get your number, to get your phone
Hmm.
number?" And she starts giggling and writing in a piece of paper.
And meanwhile, Noah is right behind her, like
Mhm.
two people, like two desks behind her.
He's seething because he just got in trouble for beating
Yes.
up this guy for, smacking her in the
And
ass.
now she's giggling and passing him notes. And Noah's just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
We don't like it. Elle is really young. I we can give that to her. She's young and she doesn't
Yeah.
really understand. Then there's a lot of toxic messaging that sometimes, especially I don't know her generation, but our generation definitely received a lot of toxic messaging of like, oh, boys will be boys and they treat you like crap when they like you and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
We didn't see what she wrote in the note. All we see is Tuppen like breaks into the classroom.
Tuppin puts on said tiny mini skirt, and he breaks into the classroom and he has on this itty bitty little tiny baby skirt, which is hilarious, but also, no, girl, no.
But he looks good in that skirt, I'm
He
not
does
gonna
look good.
lie.
Dude, did you see those thighs?
He's got legs for days.
He
Like, I'm like,
does.
"Honey, you need to, like, add that to your repertoire of clothes."
I don't know. He also Tuppin has like a man bun, and I have like a thing for like man buns.
There's something just really non-offensive about man buns, and I think that's why they specifically casted that guy, because
Hmm.
then it's like, "Oh, we forgive you for sexually assaulting her because you have a man bun."
Okay, he's fine.
So Tuppen asks her, gets her number, asks her out on a date, and Lee tells her, right? Like, "Oh yeah, I think you should go." She goes
Hmm.
and gets stood up. She just sits there at the arcade waiting for this stupid guy.
He finally shows up, and essentially he's like, "Listen, Noah told me
Mm.
that it would not be smart for me to come. He
Yep.
told all the guys that." And she was like,
Yep.
"Hold the fuck up. What do you mean he told all the guys that?"
Meanwhile, she's a junior, right? She's been wondering why no guy has asked her out, why no guys show interest in her. And it turns out it's because her best friend's big brother has been threatening everyone. But you know what's so sad is the only reason she went is because he was the only guy who ever asked her.
That is, I didn't think about it before, but that is super awful that her first date was at a guy who sexually assaulted her.
And then he stood her up.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, it gets better. It gets better. I mean in life, not in this particular movie.
I know. I am really proud of her because after she finds this out, she confronts Noah. She does not take this lying down. She calls Noah and is like, "What the actual fuck?" And he's like, "Listen, it's for the best. Trust me, you don't want these guys. I'm doing you a favor." She just tells him, like, "This is over. You will not be doing this anymore.
Right.
Prepare for me to do the exact opposite of what you tell me to do."
She's rebelling against him like he's a parent or something, because he's over here cock blocking every which way.
He even condescends to her and calls her kiddo.
Oh, yeah. That would send me into a violent rage.
She is super short. He is super tall. I've been like, listen, do you want me to punch you in the dick? I will punch you
That's
in the dick.
that's as far high as I can reach, and I will do it. So the very first day of school, when Noah jumps in and fights on behalf of Elle, everybody notices obviously, but very specifically this group of 3 girls that are called the OMG girls because their names are Olivia, Mia, and Gwyneth. They are all over Elle, and they're like, "Oh, why did he, like, jump in and fight for you?" They're up her ass because 'cause they're trying to figure out, you know, if Noah and her have something going on, because they obviously want him.
They do. And as soon as they kind of get confirmation that nothing happened, they're like, okay, bye.
Like, disappear again.
Lee and Elle are on the dance team. That's like their friendship thing is
Yes.
Dance Dance Revolution. And they are on the dance team together. So they are looking at fundraising options. They go through a whole bunch of different ones,
Yeah, so they come up with the idea of a kissing booth. Ooh.
but they have to get it passed through like the council, like the student government council. They have to get it passed through them.
Because of course the OMG girls have to be in charge of the student council. It's like, of course, it has to be them. And
Yeah.
so Lee and Elle have to make the presentation to convince them that a kissing booth would
Hmm.
be a good fundraising option.
And the committee is mostly females. And in order to get people to agree to it, she has to tell them that Noah will be doing it. And then they're like, okay, you may proceed.
If it's not clear, the OMG girls are the mean girls of the school. They're the cool mean girls.
Yes, bitches.
Yeah, they're the bitches. And they actually say, don't they say like, you can call us bitches? And
Yes.
she's like, hey, bitches.
And they're like, yes, thank you. Fast forward a couple days. She still hasn't talked to Noah about doing the kissing booth.
Oh, so this is where Noah has that party.
Yeah, so Noah is having a party. He tells Elle that she's not allowed to go, and she's like, "I told you, I'm done doing what you tell me to do."
He's trying to control her. He's like, I'm having this huge party. Literally, everyone's going to be there, but you can't come. And she's like, bet, I'll be there.
And so she goes there, and she's talking to the OMG girls, and the OMG girls are like, "Go talk to Noah."
They sent her over to Noah to talk to him about getting him to do the kissing booth.
Hmm.
He's busy making out with a girl.
Noah pauses his makeout session, and the girl like pushes Elle like on the
Yeah.
forehead. Like puts her hand on the forehead
No,
and pushes her.
she like flicks her forehead. I
Yes.
literally, like, my eye twitched.
Ella's like, "Did you just put hands on me?" And then Noah tells her, the girl that he was making out with, he tells her, "I think you should go." And she's like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He's like, "Ella's important to my family, which means she's important to me, and you need to go."
That was so calm, though. He said it very
Yeah.
calmly and
He didn't even flinch.
unemotionally.
He didn't
Yeah.
stutter. He was just like, "Nope, sorry, you got to go." Ella's like, "Oh my God, thanks. So do you want to do the kissing booth?" And he's like, "Absolutely fucking not."
She's like, "But you gotta do the kissing booth because I told everyone you were doing it." And he was like, "Too bad." When she comes back, the OMG girls are like, "Did you get him to do it?" And she's like, "Oh, honey, he does what I tell him to do."
She knew she was lying and then she doubled down on it. But then the OMG girls are still like filling her up with shots. They're just handing her shot after shot after shot after shot. She's so drunk.
She gets messy as fuck. She starts dancing, and then suddenly she's like, "Oh, it's so hot in here. I have to take off my clothes
It's
and get the."
getting hot in here. So take off all your clothes.
She
I
literally
am getting so hot. I'm gonna take my clothes off.
she takes off her goddamn clothes and she's in her underwear in front of the entire school. Where's Lee? Where are you, Lee?
Lee was just there, like, oh no. Oh, no, 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 no. But he doesn't come and save her.
He was watching her.
Yes, she's like, "Let's go skinny dipping," and a whole bunch of people jump in the pool, and then she, like, passes out on the pool table that she was just dancing on.
She passes out into the arms of someone, and when she
Mhm.
wakes up, she's in Noah's room, in Noah's bed, and she's freaking out like, "Oh my gosh, did something happen?"
And she's wearing Noah's football jersey with only her bra and panties on underneath it.
Yeah, and she's mortified because he comes in a towel to get his clothes,
Of
and
course.
she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Did I snore?" And he's like, "Oh, I didn't sleep with you. I slept on the couch. You slept by yourself. Like, what do you think?"
He starts becoming douchey Noah again. He's in just a towel, and he was like, "I just came to get clothes,"
Yeah.
and she's like, "I gotta go."
Oh, because she's sober, and now she's very, very self-conscious of the fact that she's only wearing his jersey, whereas last night she was on a table literally in her bra and panties in front of the entire
Mhm.
school, but right now she doesn't want him to see, so she hides behind a curtain, and she's like, "Can you get me my clothes? Get me my clothes. They're right over there, please."
She's like, can I have shorts?" And Noah's like, "Nope, absolutely not. You may not have shorts." And she's like, "Noah, no." And
Noah!
so Noah relents, gives her a pair of shorts, and then
It was a freak accident where she somehow tripped on the curtain and wrapped it around both of them, and they were rolling around the floor.
mhm,
And then she's trying to pull him off of her, and she's like, "Oh my god, I touched him. I touched his pee-pee. I touched
"I
his
touched
pee-pee."
it." She's like, "I touched his ding-a-ling."
That whole embarrassing moment happens where she touches his
Yes.
pee-pee, and then we move on like it's fucking nothing. Like she didn't what?
I don't know.
How many penises do you accidentally touch and just go about your day? That would redefine my entire fucking identity. Like, that would be all I could talk about for a week if I accidentally touched someone's penis.
Listen, I once said to a waiter, like, you know, those when you accidentally say to a waiter, like, "You too." That lives rent free in my brain every time I've ever done that.
When they say, "Enjoy your meal," and you're like, "You too?"
Yeah, I've done that so many times, and those times all live rent free in my brain. But
She just goes on. Yeah.
Ellen Lee are painting the kissing booth because the
Yeah.
carnival's like the next day or in a couple
Yeah.
days. And they're painting and they get into a cute little best friend paint fight.
It's so cute and messy and totally unexpected and not at all sexual. Like, the paint doesn't at all spray on her white shirt right on her boob area.
It's adorable. So she's covered in paint, her face is covered in paint. And so she's stumbling blindly and she goes into what she thinks is the girls' locker room.
Takes off her shirt.
Yeah, takes off her shirt. Turns out she's in the boys' locker room.
Oopsie.
And Noah sees her because all the boys are like, "Oh, yeah," because she's just there in her like bra and shorts. And
Yeah.
the boys are like, "Oh my God, yeah." And she's like, "Oh my God, no." And then Noah's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
She's mortified at first until she sees how Noah demands that she leaves the boys'
Yes.
restroom where she has removed her shirt and now is in her bra. And she decides to defy his quote authority and starts dancing.
And well, and then Noah sort of relents. He's just like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?"
She's so quirky. She's that quirky girl.
I really want to hate on her for this, but I can't because she's like everything I wish I was in 11th grade.
Oh my gosh, the confidence, the audacity.
the the audacity. I hope that my daughter has the same amount of confidence and audacity when she is also 16.
Yeah, it's very I would say rare. I don't think I've seen it in a 16-year-old to have that kind of confidence where you make this huge error walking into the wrong bathroom and taking off your shirt and you turn around and there's a gaggle of boys staring at your boobs.
And when you get that fight or flight and you're just like, I'm gonna dance instead.
Well, because she has fight, flight, or dance, and she's like, "You know what? I'm gonna
I'm
dance."
trying to figure out what I would have done in the situation, and I probably would have like screamed.
Yeah, and ran out. I would have screamed and
I
ran
don't
out.
know because my shirt's off. Do I run out in the hallway or do I stay in the boys' locker room? I think like best case scenario, I just passed out. Like I think that's literally the best case scenario that I can
I don't know
find.
if it's the best case scenario, but
So the day of the carnival is here.
she convinced the OMG girls to be part of the kissing booth 'Cause she
Yeah.
told them, she was like, "Oh, hey, I heard that Noah Flynn has a crush on one of you, and
Yes.
I heard that if the one he has a crush on goes to the kissing booth, he will be part of it as well."
Like, actually, she doesn't really lie because she says, "I know Flynn has a crush on you."
Oh, that's
So
right.
technically, she's being honest about it because
Mhm.
Lee Flynn, her bestie, does have a crush on Mia. So she's being sneaky, sneaky with her words. She's not lying, but she's being deceptive, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. Do what you gotta do.
So it's the day of the carnival, and the OMG girls are helping with the kissing booth. There's a line, and she kind of explains how it works, like the kissing booth, and it's doing really well. They're making a lot of money.
The person at the kissing booth is blindfolded, so they can't see who they're kissing, and it's probably for the best. The scene was very chaotic, though. Like, there was all these teenagers lining up
Yes.
to share kisses. I mean, we live in a different world now, you know what I mean? Like, a group of teenagers lining up to kiss each other, it's just never gonna happen again.
I mean, I really hope it does at one point, just for the future's sake. Okay, this sounds really weird. As a parent, I really wish kissing random people in bars and clubs and parties to my children.
Yeah.
I wish that for you one day. But with COVID, I honestly think that, like,
It's gonna change us forever, I think.
yeah,
Think about the things we did pre-COVID that we will never be doing again. I don't think we'll ever be doing again. And one of them, standing around a cake and watching someone blow their hot, germy breath all over it and being like, "Yummy, can I get a piece of that?" Like, that's never gonna happen again.
kissing random strangers in bars.
Probably not. Yeah.
So the ONG girls sort of catch on that that Noah is maybe not coming.
Right.
And the next boy in line that wants to kiss the girl
Is ugly.
is ugly. He's like a really nerdy dude.
It's not the fact that he's nerdy, it's the fact that he's literally picking his nose
That
when they're
is
like
really
he's,
gross.
like, picking his nose at the front of the line of a kissing booth. Like, dude.
Elle doesn't know who's next in line. The OMG girls come to her like, "Oh my god, the next person in line is Olivia's ex." But wait a minute, we're all such good friends.
Right, we can't kiss him
Yeah,
because that
but
would be wrong, but you
you
totally
don't know
can.
him.
Yeah.
So Elle puts the blindfold on, goes out there, but in the meantime, Nose Picker lets Noah Flynn cut in front of him.
Yeah, so now Noah Flynn is at the front of the line getting ready
Yes.
for the kissing booth person, and Elle obviously doesn't
Hmm.
know it's gonna be Noah, and also the
Correct.
OMG girls don't know it's gonna be Noah, and when they see who's at the front of the line getting ready to kiss her,
They are so mad.
they're so mad because they wanted to kiss him, you know?
So Elle is super nervous. She's a nervous talker. She is blabbing on and
And
on.
she doesn't even know who she's talking to because
She
she's
doesn't.
blindfolded. She doesn't know she's talking to Noah. She's just like, "Oh my gosh, by the way, I've never kissed anyone. This is gonna be my first kiss." Girl, everyone's looking. The whole school is lined up
Everyone can
here.
hear you. I am so, like, I have such a case of secondhand embarrassment for that.
She's blabbing.
She's blabbing, and then Noah kisses her. And I don't mean like a little peck, a little smooch. I mean, it is a kiss kiss. Figurative stars appear in the sky for her.
She takes off her blindfold because she needs to
Yes.
see who her first kiss is. This is her very first kiss in her life. She sees it's Noah, and then she kisses him again. And it's like this moment where they kind of both are like, are we doing this because of the kissing booth or are we doing this because we like it? I think we like it.
What's not to like? I mean, at night, you can't see those flags are red.
Yeah, no, at night they just look like beautiful lights. The red flags just look like beautiful lights
Mhm.
leading you home.
They just look like stars.
Yeah. Yeah. So, she tells Lee after this happens, she finds Lee in the carnival and she's like, "Hey, Lee, oh, you're not gonna believe this. It's the craziest thing. I just kissed your brother," and he's not happy about it. And she's like, "Hey, it's for charity." And I'm like, "Girl, I gotta put that excuse in my books. It's for charity." My husband would be like, "What are all of these packages?" And I'm like, It's for charity."
You're just like, babe, no, don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
It's for charity.
Lee is obviously uncomfortable that she just.
Oh, do you remember what he says? Do you remember what he says?
Mm,
He says, Well, as long as you don't grind coochies with my brother. He
I
said
forgot about that. Yes.
he says, "If you grind coochies with my brother, I'll never talk to you again." And I'm like, "Honey, it already happened because they got tangled up in a curtain and they grind coochies already, honey."
Already did it. After the kissing booth, a few days later, she is running home in the rain and Noah shows up to give her a ride, but he's on his motorcycle. She's getting soaking wet in the rain, so she agrees to get on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
And then the rain gets a little too heavy.
"Oh, it's too heavy, it's raining too
Too
hard.
heavy.
We have to pull over somewhere beautiful, but also
It's like
secluded."
a what is that? It's like somebody's pool house.
It's like a greenhouse, I feel like. They
Yeah.
pulled over at this beautiful
It's like
greenhouse.
a gazebo with like French doors and windows.
It's just this casual place, casual. All neighborhoods
Mhm.
have that place where you could randomly stop and have a private time, but also beautiful
No,
scenery.
girl, do you know what our neighborhood had growing up? Where we used to live? I had the laundromat at the apartment complexes.
Is that where you guys hung out to get fondled?
No, I used to get fondled in your garage. Yeah, no, I got my first kiss in your garage.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
Mhm. And my second and my third.
Wow. Okay. It like never occurred to me as because I was like a super controlling older sister. And if had I known, I would have been cock blocking your
I'm
ass.
aware.
I would have been cock blocking your ass, girl.
So they're in this gazebo greenhouse thing.
Elle makes the first move and she kisses him.
Yes, girl, do it. Go
Do
about your
it.
bad self. Do
Do it. Do it.
it.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. She kisses him. He kisses her back. They're making out. And then they get interrupted by the security guard. And he's like, "God damn it, Noah." He's like, "I told you to stop bringing girls here." And then Elle gets really, really offended because she's like, "What?
Yes.
You bring other girls here to this, beautiful greenhouse,
Mhm.
perfectly secluded place for teenagers to make out?" Like, as though teenage boys have like a Rolodex of places they can take girls to make out. Like, come on. They have one place. Can you blame them?
Yeah, so Elle is like, "Oh my god, you're treating me just like your other hoes." And Noah's like, "No, no, 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 wait."
She goes home and she makes a pros and con list. She remembers rule number 6, which is if you can't tell your best friend about something you're doing, it's probably because you shouldn't be doing it.
Mhm.
And I really like this rule. I like it a lot. It's a good one, just in general.
Yes.
Because I feel like your best friend is someone who is going to hold you accountable. And if you feel hesitant to tell them something, it's probably because you know deep down inside you shouldn't be doing it.
My best friend knows literally everything about me except for my social security number, and that's only because she's never asked. Like I would give it to her in a hot minute.
Well, I think you should prove your friendship by just randomly texting her your social security number.
I'll do it right now. Watch her be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Girl, okay, so there's a huge party happening at the beach, and I was a little dumbfounded. Apparently, these underage kids can drink in public without fear. Don't worry about it.
I never drank in public except as an adult.
Yeah.
And I mean, I walked right past those no drinking on the beach signs. Like, fuck you.
So at this big party that's happening at the beach, there's like a fight that breaks out, of course, because Noah is unstable and has to fight every other scene. The only thing that would excuse Noah being so broody and unstable is if he was a 100-year-old vampire fighting an irresistible thirst for blood, but he's not. So I just, there's a guy that he says to Noah, he says, "Oh, you like your brother's sloppy seconds?" And Noah loses it and tackles the guy, and she walks off really pissed.
But then Noah says to her, "You think I meant to do this? Like, you think I meant to fall for my little brother's best friend?"
He tells her that he's crazy about her. And it's exactly what she wanted to hear. So immediately, because she's a little bit of a psychopath, she starts spitting off rules. She's like, "Okay, 3 rules. Number 1, you can't tell me what to do. Number 2, you can't fight. And number 3, if we're gonna do this, no one can know, especially not your brother Lee, who's my best friend, and we have rules, and one of them says I'm not supposed to date you, but I'm gonna do it anyway because you're hot. But listen, you can't tell him until I figure out how to tell him, and I probably won't tell him, okay?"
Listen, I think we've all been made into huge puddles of dumbass by a hot dude.
I mean, things escalate quickly.
So they're literally out behind the Hollywood sign, I think it is.
Mhm.
And she like sleeps with him. And first of all, my initial reaction and my mindset that I was
Yeah.
raised with was, what the fuck? But now as an adult, I want to be like, you do you, L. You go and you do what you want to do with whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with whatever you're comfortable with, but this is where I think it was okay. They're sleeping together behind the Hollywood sign, which I feel
Hmm.
like when I was younger, I would be like, "Oh my god, goals. That's where I want to have sex for the first time is behind the Hollywood sign against the backdrop of Los Angeles." But the reality is that it's a very popular hiking
Dirty.
spot. It's full of wild animals. It gets very cold after sundown as well. It gets very cold.
Are there scorpions? So Elle and Noah are sitting in his room making
Yeah.
out.
Her best friend is in the same house and she doesn't want him to know what's happening.
Yes, and his mom knocks on the door and he's like, "Oh shit." So she crawls under the bed and mom's just there to collect laundry.
The mom comes in to get his laundry. The mom casually mentions that he's going to an Ivy League school.
Mhm.
Oh, just an Ivy League school.
It's like, "You got into Harvard, no big deal."
Yeah. Hey, listen, don't worry about it. Just go with it. He's hot. He's got the body. He's got the brains. Go with it. Go with it. They have to sneak around because she doesn't want Lee to find out that she's dating Noah, his brother. So now we
Now
get
there's
it.
like a sneaky montage.
Yes, there's a sneaky
I love
montage.
it.
I love it too. It's a montage. I fucking love montages.
I love it, especially because it shows a definite progression in the relationship. Like he's teaching her something new, like he's teaching her to drive his motorcycle. It's something that's important to him that he's sharing with her, which I really like. I really like it when couples take an interest in something that is interesting to the other person.
Yeah.
I think that it really shows a growth in the relationship. But at the end of the day, half of this montage is them hiding from people they know.
Yeah.
They're hiding from Tuppen and a date. They're hiding
The
from the
mom.
mom. They're hiding from Lee and his girlfriend Rachel. They're hiding from her dad. There's one part where she's at a soccer game and Noah is extremely excited because she just made a goal and
Yeah.
the dad kind of is like,
Like, why is he so excited?
yeah, the natural progression and evolution of the relationship is really overshadowed.
Yeah, it's soiled by the secrecy because they're together and you have this montage of them having all these happy moments, but all the happy moments are kind of overshadowed by the fact that they're keeping it a secret.
Yeah, and so she is trying to get a wrench for Noah off of a shelf and she falls and she cuts her face open. She is bleeding, so Noah helps her get the wound tended to. Lee walks in and Lee's mind jumps to worst case scenario, which is, did you hurt her?
Girl, this is a red flag for me because obviously she got hurt accidentally. The toolbox fell on her face. She has a mark on her face, a cut, a bruise. But
Mhm.
Lee immediately assumes that his older brother hurt
Hurt
her.
her.
And that's a red flag to me because who knows you better than your brother who's lived with you your entire life?
Mhm.
Lee fully believes that Noah is capable of punching this girl in the face and giving her like a cut on her cheekbone. Red flag. Red fucking flag. They get
Mhm.
into a fight over it because Noah is like so offended that Lee would think that he would hurt her.
Mhm.
Elle reassures him, "No, he didn't hurt me." And he walks away. He comes back and they literally were kissing. And that's the confirmation.
Yeah, and Lee is not okay with the situation in the
Nope.
least.
Nope, nope, nope. He's
So
very
he
pissed.
storms out, and obviously, Lee is Elle's best friend, and Noah is her secret boyfriend. So she's really torn at this point. So what she does is, she tells Noah to stay there, and she goes to talk to Lee. Noah does not listen. He comes downstairs and gets into another verbal altercation with Lee that turns into a physical altercation.
Naturally, because Noah is super toxic and only knows how to talk with his fists.
Honestly, I think at this point, I really think that Lee is also out of line because Lee is really slut shaming both of them. But he's like, "You're gonna tell me that you haven't slept with him?" And she's like, "Well," and he's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." But like, honestly, just because your brother's a player, it
Yeah,
does not mean that he is not capable of forming authentic feelings. And also, even if he was a player and there was no authentic feelings, it doesn't mean that your best friend doesn't have the right to sleep with whoever she wants to.
right. This is where the red flags on Lee's side come up for me because he says, "My whole life, Noah has gotten everything he wanted. And the only thing I had that he didn't was you. And now he has that too." And we're supposed to feel sorry for him, like, "Oh no, Noah got the thing you
She's
had.
not a possession.
She's not a thing. She's a freaking person." And that was like, I don't know, 10 million red
Mhm.
flags pop I can't even talk anymore. That was like 10 million red flags popping up. Like, wait a minute, Lee. Like, hold the fuck up. She's supposed to be your best friend. I would understand him being upset, being like, "I don't want you getting hurt. My brother's a player."
Mhm.
But he's like, "No, you were my toy. And it's not fair that he
Mhm.
gets to have you too." I don't like that. I don't like it.
And then Lee storms off in his car. He just drives off. And then Elle goes off on Noah. And I honestly think that she is equally mad at Noah and Lee at this point. However, Noah is the only physical presence there. Therefore, she takes her anger out on him.
Yeah, she goes off on him. She's so pissed at him for coming, chasing after them.
Yeah.
Girl, take a little responsibility for your own decisions.
So Lee stops talking to her and she stops talking to Noah.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a breakup. Like it's not an official breakup, but she just kind of stops talking to Noah.
Elle does try to apologize to Lee on several occasions, and every single time she tries, Lee is like, "Nah, I'm good."
For a moment it feels like they're never going to make up because she like remembers rule number 7, which is you have to forgive your best friend if they bring you ice cream, and
Mhm.
Lee takes the ice cream and throws it in the trash. And that to me was like me throwing fresh ice cream in the trash. That would be like
Never
the
happened,
the end. It would be like it would be unforgivable.
right?
I would not be able to come back from that.
Listen, I would never throw fresh ice cream in the trash. Throwing something that somebody bought me away,
Yeah.
just it blows my mind, like, you don't do that.
Right.
You find someone else like, "Hey, do you want this ice cream?"
You hold that ice cream as it's melting down your forearm and you find someone else to eat it.
So Noah at this point is MIA. Like Noah stopped coming to school. He may not graduate. And then he resurfaces. Noah resurfaces, but he resurfaces because he shows up at Elle's house to talk to her dad.
Yeah.
And he's essentially just like, "Hey, I just want you to know that like I really have genuine feelings for your daughter." And her dad is basically like, "Tuck those deep down inside of you."
I want you to take those feelings and I want you to push them all the way down.
Yeah.
So, Lee, as much as he tries to make Elle feel bad and basically put her through the ringer as she's trying to get him to be her friend again, he
Hmm.
finally just one day shows up at the arcade and picks two-player on the Dance Dance Revolution game, and they become friends.
It's really sweet, but also I want to be like, you don't get off that easy. Like, listen, like, I don't want your dick. You don't get away with a whole lot of this. All right. Listen, like, your red flags are different from dick red flags. All right.
I I don't appreciate people getting over fights without talking about it. I feel like there should be a very clear discussion of like, this is why you were upset. This is why it's not going to happen again. Like, there needs to be a discussion. They just started dancing. Can you imagine if all conflicts were solved just by dancing together?
I have all the rhythm you would expect out of a 5'2" white girl. So if conflicts were resolved by dancing, like, I would have nobody in my life. So, prom night rolls around. The theme for prom night is memory lane.
Yeah, so Lee and Elle are walking through. There's
Hmm.
first of all, there's all these pictures because it's memory lane. So
It's
there's
really
all these
cute.
pictures, really cute. And then they turn a corner and there's a kissing booth. And they felt like the kissing booth was such an important part of their school year, and they're very proud of it. And then someone walks out of the kissing booth,
It's Noah.
and it's Noah, and he's broody and tall, and he's like, "Hey, Elle, I came here. I don't know why, for forgiveness for I don't know what."
Noah, confesses his love to her, and she essentially says, "I can't keep hurting the people I love."
She rejects Noah in front of the whole school because of his punk ass brother.
Then Noah goes to apologize to Lee.
They have a brother's heart to heart, and Noah's like,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm leaving for Harvard tomorrow."
And the next day just happens to be Lee and Elle's birthday.
Mhm.
It's a costume party.
Yeah, casual.
And yeah, natural. And they blow out their candles, and it's really cute. They're having a good time. But rule number one of best friends is that only your best friend gets to hear your birthday wish.
It's so sweet.
It's so sweet. So Lee tells Elle his birthday wish, which we don't know what it is. And then he asks Elle what hers is, and she just says, no wish this year.
Well, it's sad because you can tell that Elle is very heartbroken about Noah,
Yeah.
and Lee is, like, oblivious or either doesn't wanna care.
I think that at this point, Lee is just kind of hoping everything goes back to normal. I think that he understands that his bestie is hurting, but he's hoping that it's a short term problem and that it will correct itself.
But it's so selfish because at this
It's
point,
extremely selfish.
Lee has a girlfriend. Like, he's fine. He's has a
Hmm.
girlfriend. He's not lonely, but he's fine watching his best friend be heartbroken.
It is. It is extremely disheartening to sort of see how little effort he puts into his best friend's emotional well being, and how little he cares about it. To be honest, like I said, I really started to hate him towards the end.
Yeah.
Lee is not bestie goals. So Elle at one point gets really tearful and kind of walks away, and Lee runs after her like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she essentially breaks down and basically tells him that she loves Noah and
Yeah.
that she's really sorry if that hurts him, and that if he can't kind of be accepting of her having feelings for Noah and Noah having feelings for her, then perhaps, their friendship should,
Woo!
take a different road than they had planned. I'm really proud of her for doing
Oh
that.
my gosh, yes. I literally said, "Preach, sister," because she says, "Being my best friend doesn't give you the right to tell me who to love." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Preach."
It does not. And she even asked him, she's like, if I didn't like Rachel, what would you do? And he's like, well, I would break up with her. And she's like, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You should not.
She says, "We made those rules when we were 6." And he's like, "What's your point?" And she's like, "My point, God damn it, is that there's stupid fucking rules that we made when we were 6."
Yeah. And I agree. They were the rules you made you when you were 6. Did you ever make one of those best friend compacts with your friends? And if like we're not married by the time we're 30, we're gonna get married to each other.
Um, I didn't have guy best friends, but I remember making pacts with I had a group of best friends when I was in middle school in Brooklyn, and we all had plans to live together, like, in college and stuff, and it's kinda
Hmm.
sad, it never happened.
I'm really proud about kind of how she sort of draws a line with
Yeah.
Lee, especially because he was getting everything he wanted. Um,
Right, Lee had a
without
girlfriend and
Yeah.
everything, and then he just wanted his best friend hanging around sad. It's like, "Come on, dude."
Yeah, he wanted her to be the third wheel. She confesses her feelings for Noah, and then Lee does come around and he's essentially like, listen, I think you're making a mistake. I don't think Noah's right for you. However,
Mhm.
like you are right. That is your mistake to make. If it turns out to be a mistake, and I will support you. And so he tells her, like, listen, I will go and get the car. You can drive the Mustang, meet me downstairs.
Yeah,
So she goes downstairs, gets in the Mustang, and starts driving
right.
to the airport, presumably.
She's telling Lee, like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm gonna tell Noah. I feel really bad. He told me he loved me in front of the whole school,
Hmm.
and I just kinda left him hanging."
And she's like, I'm just gonna be honest with him when I see him. I'm just going to tell him exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Lee pulls off the mask and is like, you already did. And surprise, it's Noah. First of all, I call bullshit because Noah is literally like two
I
feet
know.
taller than
I
Lee. How did you
know.
not know this?
I know. The imposing size of Noah would be very hard to miss. But let's say that Elle was super excitable and didn't realize that her little best friend was switched with her big boyfriend. But yeah, so she thought, when she was in the car, she thought she was talking to Lee, and turns out it was Noah, and he was behind the mask because remember their birthday party was
Mhm.
a costume party.
Well, and then
She
she,
almost
like,
crashes the
almost wrecks
car.
the car. She almost wrecks the car,
Yeah.
and Noah's like, "Jesus Christ, pull over."
Yeah.
And so she does, and he's like, "Well, what is it that you had to tell me?" And she's like, "I love you."
Girl, we get another montage. They're together every day before he has to go to Harvard.
This is another thing where I feel it, like, in my soul because I too have been a victim of an older boyfriend going off to college, leaving me behind, and, like, not knowing what's gonna happen.
Noah and Elle are gonna be on opposite ends of the country,
Mhm.
right? My high school boyfriend and I were gonna be hours away, and we literally just it was like a written agreement that we were breaking up at the end of the school year.
So my boyfriend, it was the summer between his senior year of high school and his freshman year of college, and it was my junior year of high school and my senior year of high school. We had dated like the whole summer. We were like inseparable all summer.
Yeah.
I knew he was going to college, and he was only going to college an hour and a half away. And he had broke up with me before he left. I'd asked him,
Mm,
like, what is this? Like, where does this leave us? And he's like, well, he's like, you are my girlfriend. He's like, and I love you. But when I go to college, I have to leave you here. And that's sort of
wow.
that. I mean, I ended up marrying him, but like,
That's the tea.
that is the tea. I married him. But listen, I had to chase him. Um,
You were like he was like, "All right, I've gotta go try new things," and you're like, "The fuck you are."
no, remember me? Um, it's fine. He's fine. Um, he's just sleeping. Um,
Courtney, is he in a dungeon right now? Are you keeping him locked?
no, he's legit sleeping right now. He starts work tomorrow. But I feel that in my soul, the whole older boyfriend going off to college, and you're just kind of like, what happens now? But like she was driving his motorcycle.
At the end scene, she's driving his
Yeah.
motorcycle, so it kind of implies that he I don't think a boy would leave his girlfriend with his motorcycle if he didn't think he was coming back.
No, I definitely don't think so. But it's one of those things where it's one of those bittersweet young love things to where you're like, will they?
Yeah.
Won't they? You know, like it's hard to make a long distance relationship work when you're only a couple hours away. It's even harder to make a long distance relationship work when you're a country away.
On the other side of the country, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is where it ends, and I guess the ends justify the means or the means justify the ends, I don't know.
It's not the end that matters, it's the journey that
It's a
counts.
journey. And you know what the journey is? The journey is a montage.
The journey is a montage, yes. Which I'm here for, to be completely honest.
Alright, guys, looks like the teapot is empty for today.
More tea is brewing and on the way. We'll be back next week with Midnight Sun.
Well, hang on, girl. What's Midnight Sun?
Midnight Sun is Twilight told from Edward's point of view.
It's the perspective I didn't ask for and I didn't know I needed, but I did need it. I wasn't super team Edward, but after reading Midnight Sun, I'm telling you, he talks a lot about murder and I'm just into it.
I love the darker place that Edward's mind is.
Thank you for listening. Please feel free to check out our show notes for information regarding the books and movies we discuss. If you want to email us, you can email us at fictionfixationpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. If you liked our podcast, please leave a review and share with a friend.
We'll see you next week.
Beware the red flags.
We may be hot, but those red flags,
So many red flags.
they're not even flags. They're like literal red tarps.
they're not flags anymore. They are red, like flashing lights.
The Hollywood sign where they did it for the first time,
Just
the
red.
letters were rearranged and they said run.
Run.